he's the only one willing to go up against former President Donald Trump head on, not pull his punches.
Welcome to the Debrief, where we talk with the Washington Examiner's top journalists about the headlines they're covering this week and where the story's going next. I'm Sarah Bedford, and I'm here with magazine editor David Mark. David, Chris Christie has been going after Donald Trump pretty aggressively since entering the race. He's sort of making his whole campaign about prosecuting the case against Trump. How effectively do you think he's doing that?
It's still early, so it's hard to tell if the former New Jersey governor is really making inroads, but I'll say this, he's the most distinctive Republican candidate in the field right now. He's the only one willing to go up against former President Donald Trump head on, not pull his punches. He has some personal reasons, even you might say a vendetta against the former president for how he was treated in 2016 and on, basically blaming Trump for getting COVID at one of the White House events and on and on. But it's probably the only way to potentially take down Trump. Whether it actually works or not, we'll find out over the next 8-9 months.
Chris Christie is sort of the more forceful version of an approach that other 2024 candidates have taken when it comes to handling Trump's indictment. Nikki Haley, Mike Pence have been sort of critical of the substance of the indictment, the way that Trump mishandled classified information, whereas other candidates like Ron DeSantis have been more focused on the Justice Department and have just sort of not really waded in on to what Trump is actually accused of.
Yeah.
What do you think is strategically the better approach?
I would think if you want to beat Donald Trump in a primary, the only way to do it is to go directly at him and try to take him down. There is no assurance that it will work. In fact, it probably won't, but that's about the only path that seems plausible out there. Trying to be a pale imitation of Trump and say, oh, the Justice Department is out to get him, or what about Hillary's emails and this and that, which Christie has done a little bit, but nothing nearly to the extent of Nikki Haley and some of these other characters. So I think what they're basically waiting for is something to happen to Trump, either to be a little morbid about it, some health thing, or that he gets indicted and something else happens. But that's basically what candidate rivals in 2016 were waiting for, and nothing like that ever came along.
A lot of wishful thinking there.
Exactly.
North Dakota Governor Doug Burgum has also entered the race. And you have some thoughts about a niche that he might be able to carve for himself.
Well, Doug Burgum is the Republican governor of North Dakota. He was elected in 2016 to that office, his first time running for office. He made his millions. In fact, we even think he's a billionaire at this point in the tech field, not in social media the way that many in the conservative side get so frustrated about, but he's a software entrepreneur. He founded Great Plains Software, which is just what it sounds like. It's an organization tool. Most people who use Windows would recognize some of the tools there. He sold it in 2001 to Microsoft for more than $1 billion, and he's since invested. He's a Stanford Business School graduate. He's got ties to Silicon Valley. He's the one candidate who's actually worked in tech. He knows that field. He knows that industry. I would think it might be advantageous to try and carve out that niche and talk about that a little bit more. So far, he's been a pretty generic Republican candidate, not really criticizing Trump, just talking about his upbringing in rural North Dakota, hard work, entrepreneurship. That's great, but doesn't really stand out in the field.
Well, David, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you.
You can get more writing from David and the rest of the political team at washingtonexaminer.com.